associate intern as well, so thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. And Needy.
Hi everyone, my name's Nidhi, and I'm from India originally, but I'm doing a Bachelor's of Public Relations at Humber College, and I'm also a PR associate with Gabriel PR.
Awesome, thank you. And Destiny.
Good evening, everyone. I am a public relations graduate from Florida A&M University, located in Florida in the USA, and I am a PR associate with Ms. Sandra Gabriel.
Thank you. And finally, last but not least, we have Ms. Pauline.
Hi everyone, I'm Pauline. I'm 24 years old and 25 years old, and I am currently also a public relations associate with Sandra.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for being available to have this discussion today. I thought it would be fun to talk about this. It's actually something that, you know, I have mixed emotions about, and I thought it would be a fun little PR exercise for us to discuss. And we're going to open it up for the audience to ask questions and share their thoughts on it as well. I will start off by just reading what the scenario is, what happened. This is from The Cut. And what happened was on June 10, Sasha Exeter shared a 12-minute video post on Instagram. In it, she explained that 1 week earlier, Jessica Mulroney, a former acquaintance of hers, had privately responded to a call to action Exeter had posted on her Instagram stories about Black Lives Matter, in which she urged people with large followings to post about it too. Exeter said that Mulroney, quote unquote, took offense at the call to action, believing it was aimed at her, even though Exeter didn't name anyone in the post. Over the course of a week, Exeter says she was sent, quote, a trail of offensive messages, end quote, from Mulroney, in which Mulroney tried to explain why she hadn't posted about BLM, including that she was busy doing promo for her show. In the video, Exeter explained that the conversation escalated further, ending with a threat from Mulroney in which she claimed she had spoken with the companies and sponsors that work with Exeter. Exeter called Mulroney's behavior both, quote, a threat to her livelihood, end quote, and quote, and an, quote, attempt to silence a Black woman during this movement behind closed doors, end quote. According to Exeter, Mulroney said, I have also spoken to companies and people about the way you've treated me unfairly. You think your voice matters? Well, it only matters if you express it with kindness and without shaming people who are simply trying to learn. Good luck, end quote. After Exeter posted the video on Instagram, Mulroney commented on it, publicly apologizing and referencing her relationship with Meghan. The comment, Meghan, which is Meghan Markle, the comment which has since been deleted, read, to Sasha Exeter, you are right when you say, quote, this shit needs to stop, end quote. As leaders, we need to join hands and call out wrongs. I know we have different experiences, and that is something that even in the course of a heated argument, I need to acknowledge and understand. I am unequivocally sorry for not doing that with you and for any hurt I caused. As I told you privately, I have lived a very public and personal experience with my closest friend where race was front and center. It was deeply educational. I learned a lot from that. I promise to continue to learn and listen on how I can use my privilege to elevate and support Black voices. Soon after, Exeter revealed via Instagram stories that Mulroney had followed the public apology with a private DM in which she threatened to sue her. As a result of all of this, on June 11, CTV released a statement on Twitter and Instagram saying it would be pulling Mulroney's upcoming bridal show from all properties. It wrote that her conduct conflicts with its commitment to diversity and equality. The same day, Mulroney apologized again in a Twitter statement. She wrote that she respects CTV's decision. She respects CTV's decision, would not be pursuing legal action against Exeter, and would be stepping away from social media. In a separate apology on Instagram, Mulroney offered to have her account taken over by Sasha Exeter and other Black voices. A day later, Mulroney was dropped from her guest fashion expert appearances on Cityline and ABC's Good Morning America. On Instagram, Exeter shared that she had been receiving disturbing emails as a result of the events. The comments on my post are getting quite vicious, and a lot of the comments have now left Instagram and gone over to my email, she said, adding that she has been responding to the emails and threats to her personal safety will not be tolerated. So that's the long and short of it. And the first question I want to throw out is, what should Jessica have done? I'm going to throw it to Faymoon.
All right, well, a lot happened there in quite a short span of time. So based on the story itself, she initiated the conflict by replying to the DM very hostile from what we know. So I think this is just my opinion to start, she brought the situation on herself for replying to that story like that. And if she had just carried on, it wouldn't have happened. So that's my first initial thought of why did she even do it?
So you feel like what she should have done was just not go there in the first place at all?
Yeah. It's not like Sasha, I believe that's her name. Yeah, she didn't instigate her with anything from what we know about the story. She initiated the DM conversation. She replied to the story and stuff, with her excuses.
Yeah.
So it's just a really strange conflict to be on the internet, in my opinion, because that's not how most scandals start.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really different. So
yeah. What do you think, Destiny?
I believe I'll say to the end result. So once she started losing sponsorship and money, she could have put her money where her mouth is, as far as saying, well, I'm learning from this. My best friend experienced this, because all of the backlash she received are what women of color receive daily, both in and off the job. So when I say put your money where your mouth is, I would say she could have donated to charities that uplift the voices of women. She could have saying, you know what, I had a beautiful bridal shower. This bridal costs money. I'll open it up to 10 underprivileged women of color. They can, I'll wear a dress by a woman of color. I'll donate to this cause, put it on her website. I know that's what Colin Kaepernick does. When he does a fundraising, he says, I'm doing $1 million campaign. He put every single charity that he donated with and where the money went. So when I say put your money where your mouth is, if you say, I recognize my privilege, I understand what I did, put in a monetary beneficiary to it, because that's the most way economically women of color are oppressed.
Yeah. What do you think, Pauline?
Well, I do agree that it isn't good for her to have made that kind of comment to begin with, because it is a strange scandal to start. But I also think that this is kind of important to show how it's important to have a dialogue about race, because she is clearly not educated in that. She's not, I feel like she's very ignorant. And I think that it shows in her actions and in her language. And even when you look at the apology that she stated, it wasn't accountability whatsoever. And I think that the comment that Fran just made, saying it, her initial response is an indirect admission of her guilty conscience, is exactly it. If you really look at the things that she said and did, I feel like it was one of those reactions where she was surprised that she said it and she didn't understand the public's reaction. And if you actually look at what steps she's done after that, within that week, she hired a new PR team for a crisis management situation, which is okay. I think it's just kind of that goes to show that you're trying to cover up the problem rather than speak about it and kind of acknowledge that, yeah, it was ignorant, whether or not you recognize it was ignorant. And I don't feel like that apology was substantial, at least in my opinion.
Fran, who's watching, says her initial response was an indirect admission of her guilty conscience. And I feel like throwing money at the problem might have perpetuated that. Because a lot of times, what was the situation where somebody did something and somebody was saying that their best recourse would have been to start a program. Oh, when Chris Brown beat Rihanna, and somebody was saying that he should have started a program to teach young boys about, how to become men. And I thought, that would be good, as opposed to saying, well, let me donate a bunch of money to how to raise young boys. Let me go and show what I've learned and show that, I've been through this rough thing and it doesn't work. It's not good for you. So here's how we should, go about it. Something like that might have helped. But in terms of recourse, Rim, what else could she have done?
Okay, personally, there's one thing I still don't understand, and is that people do not comprehend that an apology means acknowledgement and stepping back. I do not understand how it is still not common practice to just acknowledge that you made a mistake and then stay low key, like we say. Another thing is, just to quote one of my favorite radio show hosts, Charlemagne the God, he said, when you apologize and you punctuate your apology with buts and you follow up with other things, you just cancel your entire apology. So any of the antics that followed when it came to apologizing and saying, I'm sorry, but here's what was happening with my friends, and I donated to other charities, or I did this and that, it's not an apology anymore. And so that's one thing that should have been, extremely clear in terms of PR. I think that's a big misstep. So yeah, that's one thing that I thought about initially. That's the first thing that I thought about. It's really honestly not the place nor the time to resurface on a social media platform and talk about something completely unrelated and have it almost as part of your apology almost. And that's borderline disrespectful to other people. And there's other details. Maybe we're gonna come to that later on what happened like afterwards. Yeah.
Is ignorance an excuse when you don't know what you don't know? And what I'm referring to is that I'm of the belief that there's a lot of people in the non-Black community that really don't know the history of Black people and what my ancestors went through. Is that an excuse? Let's talk to Needy.
No, definitely not an excuse. Like, it shouldn't have been like, hey, I'm sorry, but like Rim said, definitely apologize and, okay, I don't know certain things and I apologize for it. I would educate myself further. I think that should have been it. And then she should have actually gone out and probably given an interview on a platform where a lot of Black community exists. And probably public apology proper, without the buts and the its and everything, and without mentioning that Meghan Markle is her friend, which was just
where did that come from?
Out of the context. Like, why would you say that? That was that is so like weird. It's like, why would you bring Meghan Markle in this situation where she's nowhere related? She's living her life there in California and she's happy. Like, do not include a person. I think that just took away everything. Even if we would have accepted the buts and the its, that was the end. Like, that was just insulting to your friend too, in a way.
And I'm sure Megan is like, why is she bringing me into this? Like, this is not my business,
Definitely.
Melanie Gaskin says the public knows when you're fake. Why not just apologize, admit ignorance, and ask for help? Which, that was one of my thoughts. It's like, you clearly don't understand some things. this is where you need to get educated and to learn. So, okay, so everything explodes. Let's look at Sasha's side now. Did Sasha handle this the right way? Let's talk to Needy again.
Thank you. I have so much to say about
I
it.
know.
I think this is not the way it seems like. I think there's a lot of storylines are missing there. She only said the part that got her the most sympathy. I don't know, want to insult her situation. Not at all. That's not my intention. I properly believe that she was a victim of racism there. But I think this was a conversation and a fight between friends because they were not acquaintances, they were friends.
Yeah, this is true.
And I think this was something that started off in an argument as friends about something completely else, but it went ahead and probably Jessica went ahead and said something racist. And then she went ahead and said that I have more reach than you do, and I can ruin your career or something like that. And then I do believe this started off like that. This was not at all on the story that she posted. I do not believe that, because there's no way. I don't think, I mean, she's dumb. Yes, Jessica is dumb. That's clear. But she's not that dumb. I don't think so. I do think that privately they had a fight, and immediately after she posted that story, there's like something probably related to that protest or something, and then she went ahead and she posted that story that, hey, well, you should support, you come out and talk to us. And then Jessica took it on a personal attack because it was probably right after their argument or discussion or whatever happened. And then she probably went ahead and came out and she was like, why are you doing this to me? Like, and then it escalated to where it is right now. I do not believe it was just all Jessica's fault. Sasha should have taken it into a complete, like, it could have been a different approach to it instead of giving us half the truth. I do not think this was the whole truth.
I wouldn't say she's dumb, ignorant maybe, but I wouldn't say she's dumb. And I feel like there's a part of the story missing. If all that she's saying is, what's missing for me is what really got under Jessica's skin. Because if I come to you and I'm like, hey, Faye Moon, can you repost this about Black Lives Matter? And you're like, no, then that's the end of the discussion. So did Jessica say no? And Sasha got heated about it? Or did she say, okay, maybe I'll post it later, and she took offense to it? Like, to me, there's a piece missing there. Like, what really got under Sasha's skin? What got under Jessica's skin? What do you think happened there, Faymoon?
Well, if it was like that feeling of guilt for her immediate reaction, I do agree there's something like missing the initial conversation, because what Needy's been saying is, how does it escalate so quick? So maybe she did make false promises, maybe she didn't, but this whole scandal is so interesting because I don't think Jessica thought she had a lot to lose by interacting with Sasha and like with this whole Black Lives Matter narrative. And she lost a lot of stuff because of her ignorance. And yes, there is something missing, but when you're with scandal videos, as we've seen, like YouTubers and all that stuff, lots of public figures will release like an apology video or things like that. This wasn't an apology video. It was such like a truth driving video, but it's her truth. And maybe Jessica should have been able to respond with her truth, but she had to immediately fall back and make those statements and bring in Meghan Markle, as we've discussed, which her way she went about it, I guess, is weird. And she could have said like her part of the truth, but she didn't really.
Because I feel like the only way that I would threaten somebody and say, listen, you know, I'm going to call up your 3 sponsors and tell them not to sponsor you. That's something like, if I'm coming to you, if Jessica was going to Sasha and Sasha was refusing to do something, and then she would come back and say, oh, well, if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to go and talk to your sponsors and cancel that. So to me, there's like something missing there. I don't know what it is. There's part of the story that's not being told. And the fact that Jessica's not saying any more about what happened, like why did she get under her skin like that? Like, what's the big deal if somebody asks you, can you repost about Black Lives Matter or do something? And if they say no, then what's the big deal? You know, I don't understand that part. Like, where does that come from? I'm looking at Rim's face and she's like, yeah. What did really go on there? So Melanie says, it's always shocking to realize that your non-white friends are racist and can actually use their privilege against you. Well, that's when you find out who your friends are, right? And then Fran says she didn't think she had a lot to lose because she recognized her place and privilege. So when it comes to privilege, is that a racist thing? Are you being racist by using your white privilege, or is that separate from being racist? Because Sasha was saying that she doesn't think she's racist at all, but she is very aware of her white privilege. Do you think that's a race thing, Rim?
Well, when it comes to white privilege, this is what I think personally. You can use your own privilege to talk about important issues and bring light to important things. Now, if you don't do that, are you racist? Not necessarily. Are you part of the problem? Definitely. Meaning, if you know that you have those abilities, that power, quote unquote, but you choose to stay silent because it's 2020 now. It's a purposeful choice to be quiet about something. Like somebody said the other day on the podcast, it takes 5 seconds to post an Instagram post, literally. So, literally, like, it's a choice at this point to be a part of the problem and just fall back and hoping that everything goes away magically or something like that. Let's not forget that we're living in the era of cancel culture. And that maybe, just maybe, people want to be a part of a movement so much that they start acting out in ridiculous ways. So when it comes to the whole thing about what really happened, why did Jessica reply to that in that way? Does the shoe fit? Is it because you really want to just be a part of something, or is it that just like underlying fear of being attacked, so you feel the need to attack people first? So like you said, it's multiple layers, many different dimensions. We don't know 100% of what everything is like. So yeah.
Okay. We have another comment. Fran says she didn't think she had a lot to lose because she recognized her place of privilege. White privilege is a racist thing when it is used to criminalize or attack non-white people. Yeah, so depending on the context on how you use your white privilege, because saying something like, I'm gonna go to all your sponsors, to a Black woman who that's her livelihood, like she knew that was gonna take her down. Like if she was talking to, I don't know, Celine Dion, like it's completely different. Of course, it's two different levels, but she knows that she can't use something like that against someone who sponsors are a dime a dozen for them. So whereas as a Black woman, like you have to really impress sponsors to get them on board with your brand. So I believe she knew that was going to take her down, and that's why she said it. Melanie says white privilege may not be directly racist, but it means you condone racism. Yes. So moving into crisis communications, let's say we're on the Jessica Mulroney team and we're getting all the emails from CTV and CityLine, and it's all falling apart. We helped her get on to her I do. We helped her with CityLine. All of our PR is falling apart. What do we do? Pauline.
Well, I think that this is something, given everything that's going down right now in the circumstances that we're in, that's a really big, big like mistake. And I think that from my personal perspective, there's only so much you can do when it comes to a mistake like that. So I think the best, I guess, route to take she would have to show like a level of rebrand with her level of awareness and knowledge and willingness to just learn within just her brand and herself. And then she would then also have to then put that out to the public as well. So she has kind of two, I guess, like parts to look at, because I personally think that the only way you can recover from this is consistency, and then also transparency and acknowledgement with your audience, because ultimately what's been ruined is trust, right? So how are you going to patch that up with your audience is honesty, really. And it's unfortunate that the thing about ignorance, going back to the whole, is it acceptable? I don't think it's acceptable, but I do think that it's important to have that dialogue when it comes up. And I don't think that the reaction should be something where the person doesn't feel like they can express their ignorant mentality, because you need to hear it to correct it. So I think that she should be able to express that, but people shouldn't get so tense about it. But it's also, again, there's also that level of like, well, you shouldn't educate. That's not the responsibility, you know? But then it's difficult. But I think that the best way she can go about that is being consistent in her learning and showing that to the public, really.
What about you, Destiny? Your client just lost all their collaborations and deals. What do you do?
Well, Jessica is an example of not knowing, you not only weaponizing her white privilege in order to take money out of a Black woman's pocket, but also she had a lot of implicit bias. So even if she's not a racist, her societal views of what race is, even if she even knows what race is, jumped out. I would do, like Pauline said, be consistent and authentic for my audience. I would have done a series with an expert on race and been like, because in my opinion, a true apology is change behavior. So in order to change behavior, you need to know the root of what causes your behavior. So an expert could have sat down with her and been like, yeah, you weaponize your privilege and this is why. Or this is an example of white privilege. Or this is an example of implicit bias that you may not see as racism. Or this is the society you live in that says what you say is okay and what others aren't. That way, her audience can maybe see what other implicit bias they may have. That can even be used at like an HR diversity inclusion training, because that's what they tell you. Like in ours, they talked about implicit bias. It's not about what you say, but it's like if someone came in with a hijab at my job and I like got fearful, that's a bias that's very harmful and risks someone's life. So like I said, the series, it may not have gotten like her endorsements back, but it's not about getting endorsements. It's about, like I said, making sure your apology is a change behavior.
So don't focus on let's get back everything. Let's focus on the problem. How do we fix this problem? Did her endorsements go too far? They all dropped her. Did they go too far, Destiny?
I personally don't think they went too far, because the easiest way to check someone's privilege is to take it away. And once they realize what they've lost, it's an immediate like they're at change behavior. They'll do a complete 180. Once they realize like what was at stake, because that's the thing about a privilege, it puts rose-colored glasses on your own life.
Yeah.
So when the glasses come off and the mask come off, and
Mm-hmm.
you see for what it really is,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you really do a 180.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have consequence. There's consequences.
For sure. Shirley says, yes, Destiny, exactly. You can't change ignorance or learn if you don't know what you don't know. Shirley also said, I think Sasha was hurt in thinking Jessica could have been someone who would support her through an opportunity to show allyship to what BLM represents, which is where I was saying, like, if somebody comes to me, let's say I have an Indigenous friend, and they're like, hey, can you support by just reposting this? I would say yes. But if I said no for whatever reason, should it be a problem, Needy? Should it be a problem if somebody refuses to jump on the bandwagon of what you're supporting? And
I
this is your
mean,
friend. Okay, so just to position it, this is your friend. Think of who your closest friend is, and you're like, you know what? We're going through a lot of stuff in India. You know, we would really love, and I know you have a large following. I would really love if you could share and help us get support for our cause. And your friend says no. What do you do? How would you feel?
I would be hurt on some level. I'd be like, okay, I did not expect that. I would say that I expected a little better from you, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think I don't know how to reply to that. Maybe I'll hold it against them, but not immediately, like not at the moment, because at the end of the day, it's their choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to. We live in a time where choice is really important. That if it's a personal choice, it's a personal choice. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't change your opinion about something, you can't expect someone else to change your opinion about something. It's all right. It's like at the end of the day, I would have been okay, hurt, yes, did not expect that, all right, but okay, it's your choice, I understand, and we'll discuss this later on. Like
Yeah.
we'll discuss this when time comes, and when you have it in you, when you're ready to listen to me about it, I will tell you about it, why it was important to do. But but at that particular moment, I'll just be like, it's okay, it's okay. I have other things to concentrate, especially if it was something related to the BLM
Yeah.
protesting times. Then I would be like, I'm trying to concentrate on that right now. I'm not trying to get any negative energies. It's okay.
Yes.
We'll discuss this later.
Yes, yes. And that's what I understand from the article, is that she's working on promo for her show. And maybe, I mean, I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe she thought that would change the position of her brand somewhat for her to now jump on the BLM cause. You know, it's really hard to say why she would say no. But if I were to turn it around, and now let's say your friend comes to you and they're like, and you're in the middle of promoting, you know, you're working with Rihanna, you have some things coming up with Rihanna, and now you have a friend saying, hey, do you mind to promote this on your channel? And your answer is no. Why do you, what are you feeling or thinking that would make you say no? And is the fact that you have promos going on a good enough excuse? Let's ask Faymoon.
Well, if this were me, and if I'm thinking about my promos first, do my promos align with it? And if I post it, is it gonna, is that gonna come backlash on me because of the promos? But why should I be, another thing is, why should I be doing promos with a brand that wouldn't support that?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you have to worry about yourself, but I think you have, like some of the comments have been going off, you have to be willing to learn and listen.
Mm-hmm.
So communication, if you're such good relations with that brand, why can't you ask them, hey, like, I think this would be a really good cause and I would love to promote it on my platform. I want to do it. Why not? Why won't you let me?
Yeah. So
I think this is a two-way street in your brand and the brands you're working with.
Yeah.
And should you continue working with them?
Yeah.
I personally don't think with Jessica, did she have like any people of color that were working on her crew. I don't think so, because maybe it just didn't matter to her, and maybe that's why maybe no one else in her life was saying like, hey, you should, and she just felt abrupt with that whole initial social media thing. So it's hard to say, but that's how I would do it, and if I were her, I would have thought about it a little bit more in that sense.
I mean, to be honest, if I'm working with a brand, so if we're working with Jessica and we're controlling her social media, or we're trying to create some kind of aesthetic or messaging on her social media, and one of her friends comes and says, hey, can you jump on my cause? I have to be honest, I might be inclined to say, let's hold, or maybe there's some other platform that she could do some kind of promotion. I mean, I can't even really speak to it because honestly, we never try to control our clients' pages like that, so we can't say it was her team. But if we were trying to create some kind of aesthetic, I could see why, she would say no. Just going back to the comments, I didn't finish reading all of Shirley's message. Wait, where was it? I missed it. Here we go. It exposed a lot about the true dynamic of their friendship or professionalship or influencership. And at the same time, it exposed the privilege of Jessica and how she understood that position by using it as a tool to Jessica, silence Black women. Melanie says, see Eva Longoria example of how to, quote unquote, own your mess, apologize, and get the public back on your side, which to me is the challenging part. How do you get the public back on your side, Needy?
That's a very difficult question during a time where she was so racist.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Like Rim said, we live in the times of cancel culture. We literally, a lot of people have lost their privileges and their brands and their followings because of one little mistake.
Yeah.
So I would say initially Destiny said that she should start supporting a lot of charities and a lot of brands with and trying to talk to the Black community properly, communicate with them, ask them questions, realize what you did wrong exactly, and apologize. And yeah, I think just get over your ignorance kind of situation where you start doing that. Once people see consistently that you are actually doing something to make a difference, I think they will start to accept you again, little by little, not exactly, not completely, but little by little. And then I think it will take time though, but it will happen once.
I'm thinking back on Destiny's comment about change behavior is what people want to see after something like that. But she went dark for 2 months. So what would be the best way for her to demonstrate that she had changed her behavior, Destiny?
Well, me, it would be like, so if everyone's used to seeing her do non-serious topics on social media, that would be a change behavior. Like educating the audience. If she started to do like a book club or, like just things that aren't surface level, like I guess the typical influencer, that would showcase change behavior. So it would be hard to gauge. You would have to look at her past. Like you'd have to do an audit of all the things she do in the past, because they'll check that.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, what steps is she taking both on and off social media?
Yeah.
The real change, it goes off social media, because it's easy for me to post a picture of a black fist and say I'm in solidarity, and off social media do everything but that.
Yeah.
So it would have, you see what I'm saying? So it would have to, like all the people in the panel said, like be accountable, be present on social media, but off social media, make sure someone can do a reference for you and they say that. Like make sure when you go to certain events, you're not there taking up space.
Yeah.
Make sure, like, if you are promoting like a shirt from a brand, it wouldn't hurt to do a brand by a woman of color.
Mhm.
Don't just say History Month matters
Yeah.
during February. Well, February for the U.S. But
Yeah.
it's
Perfect.
365. You need to have an inclusive environment, in my opinion.
Yeah. Nicole says it's fair to say no. So this is when we're talking about uh, if she's working doing certain promos with another brand. So Nicole says it's fair to say no because there is so much going on, and to jump on something without knowing about it fully is being pretty responsible. Which, considering her ignorance, how little she knows about how it could hurt a Black woman to, destroy all of her relationships that are bringing her money. You know what? I feel like actually that's pretty bad. Like to destroy all those relationships. And like considering like Sasha has a child too, like what I don't think she was thinking that far. I think it was like a impulse moment type thing. Like she wasn't thinking that if Sasha loses her money, her and her child are going to be on the streets, or they'll never work in this town again. And it's funny that the same thing that she had threatened her with is exactly what happened to her. And I actually read a story about that in the Bible with a man called Harmon who had set up this whole thing to take down his adversary, and in the end he's the one that ended up getting the same punishment that he set up for his adversary. And just looking at the whole situation, I'm actually looking at the sponsors. I'm looking at CTV, I'm looking at CityLine, and I'm saying, what could they have done differently? What do you think they could have done differently, Rim?
The sponsors, in terms of their relationship with Jessica?
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't think you can blame a company, a brand, an organization for dropping quote unquote somebody, because they have to put their interests first. Now, I don't know, but for like the past couple minutes now, I've been thinking about the Nick Cannon example. For instance, Nick Cannon got quote unquote canceled back in July because of some comments that he made on a podcast. And so he was canceled because of those comments. Then he apologized. Then people of color canceled him on Twitter because he apologized.
Yeah.
And so what did everybody dropped him, including Viacom, CBS, which was a big thing. His show Wild 'N Out, it was his first source of income as well. And so what did he do? He brought a rabbi to his podcast. They had a whole episode where they broke things down. He apologized again. And then what did he do? He fell back. Once again, I'm going to go back to this, falling back and being low key. And now, just last week, MTV announced that they're in the works. They're thinking about restarting Wild 'N Out with him. So that just shows how much sometimes you really, really, really have to fall back, even if you were dropped by all your sponsors. Can we blame them, honestly, for dropping her? I don't think we can, because even if things are unclear and uncertain, and we don't know 100%, we don't know everything about everything that happened necessarily, but in the eyes of the audience, and when it comes to that organization or that brand, at the end of the day, they have priorities. And if you don't fit within those priorities, you're going to get dropped. So really, can we blame them? I don't think so.
I mean, let's be honest, when you say they have priorities and they have interests, we're talking about shareholders. Shareholders will not stand for anything that will make money go out of their pocket. I've always had an issue with brands that tend to walk away when there's scandal going on. If you and I are in a relationship and now something is happening, and I don't live in the real world, okay? I live completely outside of the real world. I'm like, you know what? Let's see how we can help this person. So I remember reading about, I think LeBron James got a lifetime deal with Nike. And the first thing in my mind was like, yeah, until the scandal breaks, and that lifetime deal is going to be off the table. And I thought, where's the loyalty? Where's the relationship that says, we know you did something wrong. How can we help? Do you need counseling? Let's now show people, because that's where the PR team comes in. Let's show the people that you're going to counseling, you're getting help, you're helping other people not make the same mistake. Is it unrealistic to believe that that's something that could happen, Pauline?
I hope. I want to say that I want to see that happening, but and I want to like I want to somehow have that be a reality, but given how everything is, realistically, that does happen. Like, people do get dropped, and I do understand where you're coming from, and I agree with it, but I just wonder, what does it take for, I guess, a brand to do that, really? Like, what would it take? Because they're so concerned about their money. At the end of the day, it's business, right? So how do you really, like, what would need to happen in order for that to become an actual reality? And I don't know what that even first step towards that direction would be. So it's conflicting for me.
They don't even really talk about it. Like, there's no let's talk about the situation. Are you willing to change? What are you willing to do to turn the situation around? There's no conversation. There's just like, and by the way, you don't work with us anymore. And I believe that there should be some room to say that, you know what, we're going to stand by our guy. We invested in him for a reason, or we invested in her for a reason, and those things are what should come through. So again, I don't live in the real world, and I know for big companies, it's really all about satisfying the shareholders. But I feel like there should be some humanity aspect that says, this person needs help. Like, let's do what we can to help them. And if they don't change, because somebody was saying, Melanie was saying, how does a quote unquote family that sponsors a football player on camera beating his wife, doesn't that brand have to protect itself? Absolutely. But how would you feel about the brand? I mean, first of all, the person has to be completely apologetic. Like, you have to show that you want to change. It can't be like, well, I'm going to continue beating my wife and you just still sponsor me. No, it should be that this person is truly, truly, deeply, to the core, so sorry. And if I see that behavior, I would understand why the organization stands by them. And I just felt like it was overkill. Like, everybody left this girl cold when I feel like we don't even have all the facts. Like, all somebody has to do is say, this is what happened, whether it's truth or not, and all your sponsors go out the door. So I feel like it was overkill. I feel like there could have been some other way. But I want to hear what Needy has to say about it, because she says she has so much to say.
No, I agree with you completely that she was like dropped so bad from everything, like, and because we don't even know the full facts. Like, I completely believe that we do not know the full facts. There's a whole lot of things to the story. I think the most straightforward way to go for Sasha would have been to, if it would have been exactly like she's saying, with her threats and with the threat messages and everything, she could have just gone to court and that's it. You know, it would have still ruined Jessica's career anyways, but it would have been real, transparent, like she wanted it to be. She says on Instagram that I want to keep this transparent, but there's so many facts missing, so many things that are, I'm not saying Jessica is not wrong, because if she was right at all, she would have come up to the public and be like, hey, it's wrong. I didn't do anything right like that.
Yeah.
But also, why I say Sasha took it way out of context is because this was a fight between friends. I do not believe this was just a fight between, a basic fight between the story thing that happened. I don't think that was it. So that's why I agree with you, because we do not know a lot of facts. And I agree that that's unrealistic that companies would do it, but I think it's a lot of it depends on contracts. I believe there's like a section of on the contracts that if it's something like that happens, they're gonna drop you or something, and they know that this is gonna happen. Like, I do not think, and it has happened so many times that even if it's not a proper properly mentioned on the contract, they know that this could happen. So it's one of those things too. But yes, I think they should change. with the world changing, they should change this too. That if there is a chance to give someone an option to if there is an option to give someone a chance to change,
Yeah.
then yes, it
Change
is
and get help.
rather take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather take that, because these are, so I remember something like Hudson Bay dropped her too, and other, and the City Line and everything, that everything, all of them just dropped her.
Yeah.
So I think, and these are the brands that do work with the Black community. So I think they should have made it seem like that, not seem like, actually made her do it too with counseling, you said, and made her do styling of um these clothes that is or Black models and everything. That would have been really great.
Yeah.
That would have shown that she's open to working with them, and she's apologetic for what she did, and she's ready to change.
Yeah. I mean, she's never shown that she wasn't open to working with Black people. I think this was a surprise to a lot of people to realize, like, wow, like, that's you, that's what you do. So I think she was open. She's definitely open to working with Black people. It's just, you know, how she handled the situation, knowing that there was some stuff missing. She didn't fight back, though. She didn't fight back and say, no, I didn't say that, or this is the situation. She just conceded to the entire thing. So she's left looking guilty, holding the smoking gun. I like what Melanie says here. The climate matters. George Floyd had just died on camera. Companies desperately wanted to prove that they condoned zero racism. So that, to me, further perpetuated the situation with the sponsors, them saying, oh, no, we cannot be on the other side of this. Pull our sponsorship quickly, you know, before morning, because we don't want people to think we're associated with this woman who is racist in this climate. So that could have been, do you think that might have motivated it, Faymoon, for them to quickly just drop her like that?
Definitely. I love this talk about the corporate and brand side, because they could have, you know, enforced all of their partnerships to do something with Black Lives Matter. They just kind of said they support Black Lives Matter after the fact, which is such the tricky part with a lot of corporate brands and the Black Lives Matter movement, which is so sad, but it's a lot of quick turnaround. And if everybody was dropping her for all those reasons, it's really hard to be the one or two partnerships left to support that because of cancel culture and because of the corporate values. So I wish it was a little bit more, they could do the outreach too, but there's just as more, it's the individual, and that I don't think
you're sticking. I don't know if it's sticking for anybody else. It's
realize any of this.
Hold on, it was choppy a little bit there. Was it choppy for anybody else?
Sorry, do you want me to go back?
Did everybody hear what she said? Okay, it was just choppy for me then.
Okay, sorry.
It was choppy for Shirley as well. Do you remember like the last part of what you just said?
Yeah, just in short, like, I think we've had a really good discussion about what the corporate end could do and be doing more, but they're not going to, because they have a lot more at stake than what just one individual has, and Jessica definitely didn't realize that, and Sasha did. Like, she realized how much she had at stake, in my opinion, in comparison to like what happened with Jessica.
It's just unfortunate, you know, the entire situation. Like Nidhi says, I think it was a thing between friends. But in the climate, you know, like Melanie was saying, the whole thing with George Floyd had just happened, and it was really, 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 really a sensitive time for something like that to come to light. And, you know, I don't know, because I'm a different kind of person. Like, I'm not about to go onto my Instagram and say, hey, my friend over here is about to ruin me and take down. I mean, it's probably maybe it saved her, because if Jessica had gone to the sponsors and said something, it probably would have had a lot of sway. But, you know, did Sasha do the right thing? Do you think she kind of maybe saved herself a little bit by doing that? Because now the sponsors, there's no way they're going to really pull out if Jessica goes to talk to them. So do you think Sasha going public saved her a little bit, Pauline?
I think Sasha going public did save her a little bit, because I feel like if she stayed quiet, it would have left a lot of room for assumption. And I think there's a lot of danger in that, especially because the internet is just filled with opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that it would have gotten to a point where if she didn't come out and be honest about it, she would have had to make some type of a statement, I think.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, because it's going to amount to that anyways, you might as well just be straight up.
Yeah.
So I think it saved her in a sense, but then I also feel like there was a lot of hate comments in the video that she made, actually. So it saved her, but it also did open up a lot of criticism on her.
Yes.
But I think, again, that is also unavoidable. Mm-hmm. So I think that's expected with the statement.
Yeah.
So I think that was the most that she could have done.
Mm-hmm. Melanie says, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Racism behind the scenes with no transparency can easily be swept under the rug. And we would not have known, you know, all we know is that we don't see Sasha anymore. We don't see this and that. All her sponsorships are gone, but why? And for her to tell the story after the fact, it might have been like, oh, you're just saying that because you lost your sponsorships. I think it was wise for her to go public because she's, you know, trying to protect herself. She was in a position where it's like, well, what do? Someone's about to take out my business. I need to get help from the people. I need to go to my following and get their support. And I think it was wise for her to just be very open about what was going on. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if it was really a matter between friends. Was Jessica really gonna go? And I just don't get how it got to that point where Jessica was threatening to destroy her livelihood. This is where the stick is for me. It's like, how did it get to that point? You know, what did she say for her to say, well, you know, because I'm trying to think of it like, you know, if the sponsors are pulling out and they're like, well, you know, she asked me to post something about Black Lives Matter on my page. And so, you know, I was in agreement with that. And because of that, I threatened to destroy her livelihood. It just really doesn't add up. I do not, I do not get it. We're at the 1 hour mark. But I want to open it up for anyone who has any last comments, starting with Rim.
Yes, once again, I think it's a really interesting case because, like you said, Sandra, we don't know exactly. It feels like some pieces are missing here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are PR professionals. And if there's one thing we know is that if the lie is more entertaining than the truth, that's where we're going with. Is it human to just cancel people and drop them every time there's somewhat like of an impression of like something wrong or racism or homophobia or something? Honestly, yeah, you're right. It's not. But fear is stronger than love, and everything is fueled by fear. If I'm a brand or a major organization, do I want to invest money, resources to sort of help the person, quote unquote, educate the person and try to, you know, stick with them regardless? Absolutely not, because I am scared. I am terrified. And once again, this is the era of cancel culture, but also social media. People's attention spans are like this. So it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go as a consumer in depth into looking at what you're doing to help your client. In my head, you're supporting what they allegedly did, even if it's not confirmed. So I think there's a very fine line in PR between the good stuff and the dark stuff. And this is our job. We were navigating between the two. And yeah, PR is just amazing like that. Many, many layers.
Awesome. Thank you. Destiny.
Like everyone has touched on, we do live in a cancel culture, but we also live in the age of information. So when you have any privilege, whether it be internet access to the public library, access to an essay, a documentary, it is up to you as a person to get educated.
Yes.
So you may say, well, I grew up in a society that wasn't diverse, or I grew up in a society where it was okay to be homophobic, but but your current situation isn't your final conclusion. So there comes in a time and a place and an age, like I said, the age of information, where no company is going to want to hear that.
Yeah.
No brands going to hear that. No fan of yours is going to want to hear that.
Yeah.
So I would say it would be up to your due diligence in general as a person to utilize whatever privilege you have that you can get the information. So that's what I would say. We live in the age of cancel culture, but we also live in the age of information.
Yeah.
So if you do one, you can avoid the other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And Pauline.
I really agree with what Destiny just said. I do think that there is a lot of information available out there, and I think that once you get, even if you did grow up in an environment that didn't support it, you come to an age where you recognize that you do self-teach a lot of things. So why shouldn't learning about racism be one of them? It affects everyone, and I do think that it is something people should really put more responsibility into knowing. So yeah.
Thank you. The thought that's coming to my head is if Jessica didn't want to post about BLM, how come it wasn't Sasha going to CTV and Cityline and saying, hey, why wasn't it Sasha making the threat to say, well, if you don't do it? Anyways, let me not go back because I just can't understand what happened. Last words, Faye Moon.
I think everybody has said some really great stuff to recap, but overall, this is definitely like a huge thing I hope she learned from. But even though cancel culture definitely got the best of her because she's white and she still has the white privilege, she can still like make Instagram posts and not have threats. I looked at Sasha's comments and it was all like, you won't matter in a year, so she still has that strong following. She it hurt her, but it's not permanent. And I hope that she learns and she doesn't get another scandal because she hasn't shown much. We've offered and talked about some really great points that she could totally fix her brand and her image if she showed she has changed, but I'm still waiting.
Absolutely. Thank you. Needy.
I, like you, Sandra, I have a lot of questions and a lot of things that I want the answers to that I'm like, but I think that everyone in the world, or in Canada, more like in North America, have learned a lot with this, to be careful, because this is also the time where there's a lot of influencers and bloggers and vloggers, and this is a time of them, and I think it's important for the people outside of this genre to include them and be respectful, to understand that they have the reach too, that they can destroy you too if they want to, clearly. But at the end of the day, as wrong as Jessica was, I think there was so much more that I would object to, and I would question, even though I do support Sasha. I would still ask her a lot of questions, be like, as Jessica's PR, I would ask a billion questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to know everything. It's
And
like when you hire a
yeah,
lawyer, I have to know everything.
yeah.
You kill the guy, I need to
Be-
know if you kill the guy.
yeah, because why I would say that is because if I don't think Jessica would have gone to the sponsors, to be very honest, because I personally think it's a friends
Yeah.
something. And if she would have, she has all the proof to go to the court.
Yes.
It would have destroyed Jessica any which ways. That's what happened to Johnny Depp. Even if he was innocent, he's destroyed at this point. So and Jessica was guilty, so she would have definitely been destroyed for sure in such a sensitive matter, especially.
Yeah.
So I that's why I would ask a lot of questions, but yeah, that would be my last comment. I do support Sasha, but I also have a lot of questions.
You're not against Jessica. You support Sasha, but you're not against Jessica.
That would not be practical.
Okay,
of me
you're
to
not
do.
against the actions against Jessica.
Yeah, yeah, something.
You
Yeah,
are.
actions against. Maybe I would say. I would say there's a lot of different things that could have happened, and this was just two women trying to destroy each other,
Okay.
and who got there first.
Yes.
For me.
Yes.
Yes, it was very on a sensitive note, but it was just two women trying to destroy each other. That's all.
Yeah.
To me.
Shirley says, living in an age of cancel culture and in the age of information, it leads where it can be changed into a space of being call-out culture. And all in all, it starts the work to move into an age of accountability. My final thoughts are, going back to what Destiny was saying about change behavior. If Jessica came to me and said, I just made this big mistake, I'm losing all my sponsors, what do I do? I don't know that I would tell her to go silent. I think, well, maybe for a little bit, not as much as 2 months, but I would definitely tell her to take a step back and think about what you did and how are you going to change your behavior? How are you going to let or convince your audience and your followers that you have changed your behavior? What steps are you going to take? What are we going to put out to say that you're a different woman, you're educating yourself? And going back to education, again, you don't know what you don't know, but she knew very well what she was doing when she threatened to, destroy Sasha's livelihood. She knew that was going to destroy her. She can't say, well, she was going to be okay. No, because for her to go to her sponsors and say, she's asking me to post about BLM, like, what was she gonna say? I don't, I'm going back there. But anyways, you don't know what you don't know. She could have taken some of that privilege and educate herself on why it's not right to do that. She knew it wasn't right. That's the only reason why she brought it up. That's the only reason why she made that threat. It's because she knew it wasn't right. She knew it was going to destroy her. And for her to just educate herself a little bit on why is it that it's so hard for Black women to get sponsors and keep sponsors, and why would this have destroyed her? She's not thinking in that frame of mind, but as her PR rep, I would have advised her, listen, get yourself some learning on why this is a very serious situation, because you're talking about taking out the life of a woman and her child. And the ramifications that's going to have on her and on Jessica as well. It's more than just her losing the brands that she's working with. We're actually going into destroying lives. So how are you going to change your behavior? What are you going to do different? Get counseling, speak to people in the Black community, get yourself educated on why things are so serious. Why are people blowing up right now about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery? Why are people blowing up? Why are people, she knew there was something. It's about getting the education as much as possible. I know that in law, there is such thing as negligence is not an excuse. The fact that you don't know is not an excuse. I got a ticket not knowing that there was a no parking sign way down the road, and they told me point blank, negligence is not an excuse. It's up to you to educate yourself. So that's the long and short of it. Let me see. Melanie says, do you believe you would be able to get those brands back for her? Ooh, I'm gonna let Rim start that question while I think about it. Ooh, I don't know if Jessica has that kind of money.
First off, yes. that. Just that. Let's start there. Let's start with the money. I don't know about that. Now, when you were talking about, what do we do? How do we pick it up from there? And let's say we were in her PR team. I do agree with everything from, educating yourself, showing things through actions, because words are very cheap nowadays. Especially with Twitter and everything. So I fully agree. I agree with what Destiny said, but I couldn't help but think that as PR professionals, we have to be hyper careful. Why? Because I feel like there's a very, very, very thin line between sort of attempting to bounce back from it and overcompensating. Meaning, if I put myself in the shoes of a consumer, regular, just a person, an opinionated person with social media, which is 95% of the population. If you start coming out with, donating to charities and doing this and doing that, and all of a sudden, even because you switch your PR team and whatnot, I'm not convinced. It's borderline suspicious now. Like, what are you doing? This is too much, and you're going to be, as people say, extra. And that's not a good way. It's going to be, I don't know, counterproductive almost if your goal is to gain trust back. But yeah, I think that's, that's what came to mind for me.
Yeah.
The thin line.
What about you, Destiny? Could you get her sponsors back?
I'm not sure. Only because money talks. So, and like money is green. So like we would, if we got it back, we would have to get like a Nobel Peace Prize or like a Purple Heart or something, because this is tough. Like, this is a lot. That's why I can't even honestly say what, because I'm, this is crisis management, this is accountability, this is PR, this is marketing,
everything.
This is law. Like, this is it. Oh, like, we would have to be getting paid good. Like, this is large. This is a lot.
Yeah, there's what she's paying us, and then there's what she's paying CTV and City Line to get back. It would have been. I definitely could get them back. It'll take a lot of time. It's not happening tonight. It's happening. Give us a year, a couple years, and we'll see if we can woo them. Come up with some campaigns that they cannot say no to, and check back with them after a while, after they've seen your changed behavior. Then it might have been a little bit easier. But what about you, Pauline? Could you get them back? Would you get them back? I could, and I would not.
It is a lot, and I think it would take, the attempt to get them back would take years, I think. And an example that that just like came to my mind was like the whole Chris Brown Rihanna situation. No one wanted to work with Chris Brown for a long time. And even to this day, when people say they have like a song with Chris Brown, it's very like it's just one song. Like, it's very quiet. No one wants to know, like, because you're still associated with that. So you would have to really figure out a way for the public to disassociate you from that, or at least think of something bigger on top of that. Like, it's a lot. So,
Faye Moon, how do you get her new sponsors? She's our client. She's like, okay, well, they're gone. How do we get some new sponsors?
Oh my goodness. She's gonna need help. Honestly, this is where she should like name drop Meghan Markle and get her hard help.
This is where Meghan comes in. Yeah, my friend Meghan.
Yeah, if she's
Princess, the Duchess, sorry.
Well, it's just like, how else? You're gonna have to get somebody with pull to trust you, and then go from there. And really advocate for you and advocate for yourself.
Yeah, she needs some friends at this point. Needy, could you get her some new sponsors?
Um, wow. I don't know. It's hard. It's gonna be hard, of course.
You're just gonna
It's
be like,
gonna
no,
be
no,
a.
no. First, I need to know what really happened. Tell me everything.
So I have a really like analytical lawyer kind of thing in me. I don't know. It's a weird thing where I need to know and like everything. I will ask you so many questions, and by the end of it, you'll be like, "You're fired." Are you trying to ask me the
Wow.
situation, or are you my PR, or are you what my lawyer? What is it?
Yeah,
So yeah, no. I'm just kidding. But I would want to know everything first.
of course.
At the end of the day, with everything slowly, steadily, consistently, when she for the first year, I think it's just to concentrate on her public, getting her public image to a neutral level.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we can start approaching people to be like, okay, are you okay to take Jessica as the sponsor, Meghan Markle's friend?
Name.
Sophia was the name, right? Sophia Trudeau's friend.
Who's that?
No, sorry, I don't know. Justin Trudeau's wife. I'm sorry, I don't know the
Yes.
name of her.
Yeah.
I'm not Canadian. But yeah. So her friend and Meghan Markle's friend. So are you okay to take her? Because I do believe that in the next 1 year, if we have to take the next year, 2021, it will go back to neutral, her image, because people do have the tendency to be like, okay, it happened, it's fine, let's just go, because it is not as bad as Chris Brown and Rihanna, because Rihanna is like there every time. She's a big
Yeah.
celebrity.
Yeah.
But Jessica Mulroney is not.
No.
Neither is Sasha.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in the next year, if it goes to norm or neutral, then yeah, we can get more brands. It would be difficult, but again, if we show that there has been counseling, she has done this, that, everything, and she has changed behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would be. Then it won't be. Once someone picks her up, it's gonna be easy then.
Oh yeah. Melanie says, don't you think if you literally focused on it, as in, say, Dove does a campaign about unconscious bias and talk about how this breakdown happened, maybe do a meditation with Sasha, which, if I were her PR person, I would say the first relationship you need to build right now is with Sasha. And we need to let the people see that you're building that relationship with her. At the same time, seeing the changed behavior, I think that might get her back into people's good graces. So, not meditation, mediation. That might get her back into people's good graces, is to see how they are rebuilding their relationship. Everything is on the table. I'm like, Needy, I want to know everything that happened. That's the only way I can defend you. It's the only way I can defend you. I need to know everything. And then how do we start piecing back together this relationship authentically, not just for show, but authentically putting it back together, making sure that you've learned your lessons, making sure that you have changed your behavior. And now we go out and she would have to approach the perfect campaign. Her and Sasha are now pitching sponsors to do a campaign about racism and, why it's not a good thing, and, just gets people to sponsor that message. It's about telling that story and getting people to sponsor that message. So if we see Jessica doing campaigns with Sasha over the next little while, she owes us money, because we're giving her all these great ideas.
I have a question though, if it's not too late.
Mhm.
Don't you think Sasha won't accept her then? Or Jessica won't be? Well, Jessica might be, because PR is suggesting her, but then I don't think Sasha be like, no, I don't care, like whatever, that's her life.
She I mean, depending on when we approach her, right, she's definitely not going to jump on it. But if Sasha can identify with what it means to lose your sponsors, and she sees that Jessica is truly sorry, like she was really just speaking off the cuff, speaking out of hurt, I think it wouldn't be a tough sell to get her on board with, like, this racism thing is going far. It's happening, between friends, and people are not even fully aware of how it's affecting people. Let's wage a campaign to educate people and let them know about how it can hurt others and how it can hurt families, how people are being held back by it. And it's not just the Black community, it's, you know, the BIPOC community, how everyone is being held back. And let's tell this story together. And their story together is so strong that it would create, you know, really, really great impact, I believe. So we are done. Caitlin is left standing. It's funny because I thought we don't have any white women on white people on our panel, and people might be like, "Well, your panel is biased because they're all people of color." But I think it was good. I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining. We're gonna share out this video. I'll probably put it on Gabriel PR's YouTube channel, so you're free to share. But Rim, Needy, Destiny, Pauline, and Faymoon, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna fight for extra credits for you all, and let's see what happens. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Caitlin, for staying.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.